So everyone can repeat with me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Let me just pull it up on my screen. The base. 10th canto. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 4, the atrocities of King Kamsa. And we are on text number 43. Shri Shuka Vacha Evam Durmantribhi Kamsa Saha Samantra Durmatihi Brahmahimsam Hitam Mene Kala Pashovrito Suraha. Shri Shukavacha Evam Durmantribhi Kamsa Saha Samantra Durmatihi Brahmahimsam Hitam Mene Kala Pashovrito Suraha. And 3 times the charm. Hare Krishna. Shri Shukavacha Evam Durmantribhi Kamsa Saha Samantra Durmatihi Brahmahimsam Hitam Mene Kala Pashavrito Suraha. So, reading the word for word. So, Shri Shuka Uvacha, which you must know means Sri Shukadev Goswami said. Eva means in this way. Durmantribihi, mantri, durmantribihi, his bad ministers. Kamsa, saha, which means along with. Samantriya, which means after considering very elaborately. And durmatihi. We hear this word durmat. I don't remember. It was I remember Prabhupada in the verse he was explaining bad intelligence without good intelligence. Does anybody know? I think it's a Bhagavad Gita verse that has this durmatihi. Anybody know? Brahma himsam. Not Brahma ahimsam, but Brahma himsam. Violence, persecution to the Brahmanas, aggression, hinsa, not ahimsa. Hitam, which means as the best way. Oftentimes it's translated as benefit. Mene, which means accepted. Kala pasha avritaha, which means being bound by the rules and regulations of Yamaraj, Asura, because he was a demon. Translation. Shukadev Goswami continued, having thus considered the instructions of his bad ministers, Kamsa, who was bound by the laws of Yamaraj, and devoid of good intelligence because he was a demon, decided to persecute the saintly persons, the Brahmanas, as the only way to achieve his own good fortune. Sri Lochana Das Thakur says, Apana karama bhunjaye shamana kahaye lochana dasa. Instead of taking good instructions from the sages and shastras, godless non-devotees act whimsically according to their own plans. Bunjaya, this bunja means also to eat. Like sometimes you hear like eating your own words, or there's some statements like that, like not having your cake and eating it too. It's something else. But basically, he has to eat his own karma. He has to like deal with his own karma. He says, Apanakarama bhunjaya shamana kahayelo chana dasha. He's saying, I'm just sitting here eating my own karma because I'm not taking good instructions from the sages and sastras. This is the humility of Lochandas Thakur. Okay, continuing. Actually, however, no one has his own plans because everyone is bound by the laws of nature and must act accordingly to his tendency in material and conditional life. Did I previously, in speaking here, did I previously give an example of the magician and the magician and the advertising agency? Oh, okay. So we'll bring that up because that's very suitable. No one has their own plans because everyone is bound by the laws of nature and must act according to the tendency of material conditional life. Therefore, one must change one's direction and follow the decision of Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Then one is rescued from the punishment of Yamaraj. Kamsa was not educated. It appears from his talks from Vasudeva and Devaki. Not uneducated. It appears from his talks from Vasudeva and Devaki that he knew all about the laws of nature. But because of his association with bad ministers, he could not make a clear decision about his welfare. Have any of you had association with bad ministers? You get your lust, anger, greed, envy. These are all like little ministers. Actually, in this, around this section in the Bhagavatam, there is an analogy given by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, which he talks about the 6 Garbhasuras, the 6 demons that took birth in the womb of Devaki. And they're previously the sons of Kamsa's previous, what is his name? It starts with a K. Help me out. Previous life. My mind goes to Kartikeya. That's not it. It's definitely not it. Kalanemi, yes. And so, and then those demons were actually the sons of Kalanemi were the sons of Marichi. And Marichi's sons are considered different elements of the mind. And so they had been cursed to take birth in his family, and thus they were the Sadgarbhasuras, the 6 demons of the womb. So we have the 6 demons of our mind. And before Krishna can appear in our heart, what happens? Just like Kamsa got rid of the demons in the mind, demons within the womb of Devaki, we have to get rid of lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, madness. And then Balaram, he is representing devotional service. So devotional service is what is kind of the dawn before Krishna appears. So we start practicing our bhakti, our devotional service. So you got the 6, then comes Balaram, and then who comes after Balaram? Krishna himself. So there's a beautiful analogy. I haven't looked at it recently, but I'm rushing over it. So I would suggest taking a nice look at it. I think it's a 2nd chapter, and it's by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. But let's see. It's this sentence. Actually, no one has his own plans because everyone is bound by the laws of nature and must act according to his tendency of material conditional life. Okay, so when I asked this question, if I gave the example of the magician before, people were shaking their heads saying, no, I did not give that example, so I will go for it. So there is a magician, I believe it's Darren Brown is the magician, and he did an experiment. He invited the top kind of the advertising firm in London that, you know, they help you do with your branding, they help you come up with the name of your company, they help you with your logo, they, you know, give you a nice slogan. So he invited them to his office for an experiment. And the experiment was, okay, we're going to do a made-up business, just going to make up a business, and I want you to draw an ad for it. Not only I want you to draw an ad for it, give it a name, give the name of business, give the business a name, and give it a slogan, and also draw a nice ad, give some characters, give something we can plaster on the wall. And the business is, get ready, it is a line of taxidermy shops. Stuffed dead animals, you know, stuffed cats and bears and stuff. And they knew it was this is just an experiment. They were hired though, and so they started sketching away. They drew, and they quickly came up with the idea of a bear with a harp, and he's in the clouds. He's pearly gates of heaven, and it says animal heaven, where the animals go after. And now I missed one thing. In the beginning of this meeting, he handed them an envelope, and he said, okay, I want you guys have 30 minutes to come up with this whole sketch, but when you're done, open this envelope. And so when they're done, they opened the envelope. What did they see? They saw a bear with a harp in the clouds. They saw the title, Animal Heaven. And the slogan was just a little different. Just a slightly. Did anybody see this video? Anyways, any guesses? How did he do that? Was he controlling their mind? Like with psychic powers? What did he do? How did it happen? Krishna Daya. Any guess? It was the taxi ride from their office to his office. He wasn't in the car, but he had planted different things on the route. They passed by an animal hospital. They passed by a music store with a harp in the window. They passed by the zoo and a bunch of children actors with the zoo logo, which was drawn like the gates of heaven, like a nice gate, and it said zoo. And they all walked in front of the car at the stoplight. Somebody came out of the office at the building with a package with wings drawn on them, like angel wings drawn on the package. And in this way, they were thinking, oh, this is my independent creation. Look at my cool artistic idea that I came up with. Look at this wonderful inspiration that I had. This is such a unique and creative inspiration. No, it was exactly what he wanted them to do. So what does Prabhupada say here? Actually, however, no one has his own plans, because everyone is bound by the laws of nature and must act according to the tendency, his tendency in material, conditional life. A great example how our conditioning. Therefore, one must change his own decision and follow the decision of Krishna. There's a nice article by Naveen Sham on Krishna.com called it's about free will, on free will. I think that's the name of it. You can look it up on Krishna.com. But basically, our free will is quite limited. We basically have the free will to choose steps towards Krishna and steps away from Krishna. All the little things in between are very much provided by our conditional nature. Okay, so continuing the purport. Because of his bad association, the association with his bad ministers, he could not make a clear decision about his welfare. That's one of our most powerful decisions that we can make in life. Is not what we do, but who do we associate with? Because you see, Kamsa could not, because of association with bad ministers, he could not make a clear decision about his welfare. Hitam means welfare. Therefore, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22, it says, Sadhu Sangha Sarva Sashjakoi Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. If one desires his real welfare, he must associate with devotees and saintly persons, and in this way rectify the material condition of his life. And then we'll read the verse again. Shishukavacha evam durmantrivi kamsa saha sammamantriya durmatihi brahmahim samhitam mene kala pashavrito suraha. Shishukadeva Goswami continued, having thus considered the instructions of his bad ministers, Kamsa, who was bound by the laws of Yamaraj and devoid of good intelligence because he was a demon, decided to persecute saintly persons and the Brahmanas as the only way to achieve his good fortune. Yes, only way to achieve good fortune is persecute those saintly people. Good idea, Kamsa. So we see this word Kala Pasha Avrita. Avrita. This is the word Avrita, means covered. Covered. As we hear Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavritaha. Completely covered. Mudayo Nabijananti Lokamam Ajam Aviyam. That the quality of Krishna is that he reserves the right of not displaying himself to the fools and the wicked. He covers himself by his curtain of Yogamaya. Now, if I cover myself with the curtain, can you see me? But I can't see you also. I can't see you. So Krishna clarifies that in the next verse. He says it's a tinted window. He says, Vedaham samatitani vartmanani charjana bhavishyani tu bhutani nam tu vedana kashtana. I know everything that's happened in the past, present, and future. I know all things and all beings, and me, no one knows. And so it's a nice fancy tinted window, this covering. So Krishna's Maya has two kind of like wrestling moves. I think you're playing Street Fighter 2 on your arcade, and they have like their special moves. They have so who knows what are the special moves of Maya? And then the Bihari.
I guess covering and then keeping you down or something like that.
Yeah, they probably calls it the throwing potency. Are pulling you down, yes. Prakshit and Krishna Daya had the Sanskrit there, Prakshit Atmika and Avaranatmika potency. So they asked Prabhupada, what did this mean? Prakshit Atmika means like that somebody might have some interest, and Krishna Maya throws them somewhere else. Like, no, you don't need to be here. One of the first ones is the Avaranatmika, the covering. Prabhupada said, here I'll read a little quote about Avaranatmika. This is nice. Avaranatmika, he's in the most abominable condition, but he's thinking he's very happy. This is Avaranatmika. covering him to see in the real position. Otherwise, everyone is, we are asking everyone, you come here. Like we are starting, what's happening at the Bhakti Center starting July 1st? What is happening? You click on bhakticenter.org, then you click on temple. What's the first thing that comes up?
Bhakti Ashram training program.
Yes. So Prabhupada said, we're saying to everyone, come here. I'm giving you room. Take prasadam, chant Hare Krishna, read these books. Answer, no. Why shall I come? What is the difficulty here? But nobody will come. He will rot in the home, anxiety, how to maintain, this is going on. This is called Prakshit Atmika and Avaranatmika. He will prefer rotting as hog and dog, but he'll never prefer to live as Krishna conscious. So someone might live and they'll feel so much anxiety, and they'll be, maybe you see, if you go down to Wall Street, you'll see you'll feel in the air this tension, this anxiety. They say, hey, you want to learn about some meditation? No! This is Maya. So many people there on the beach. You invite them. Please come to our place. Live nicely. We shall give you nice room, nice prasadam, chant Hare Krishna. Nobody will come. So we are offering Ayurvedic food and so many different wonderful things. But we find that, as Krishna says, it is very rare to find a soul that has that interest in that spiritual development. Manushanam what is it? Manushanam sahastreshu kaschid yatiti siddheya tatamapi siddhanam kaschin mameti tatvata. Out of thousands, hardly one is even seeking that siddha, that spiritual development. And yatatam api siddhanam, out of those who are seeking, hardly one is even accessing the Krishna himself. And so they have the Avaranatmika is that covering. Another place where you have this word, Kala Pasha Avrita. Avrita means to cover. So another place in the Bhagavad Gita that you have this word is this Dhumer. What is Krishna Daya? What does Dhuma? Dhum mean?
Sorry, Druma.
Dhuma.
Smoke.
Smoke, yes. He's not smoking, so he was a little unfamiliar. So Dhuma, Dhumer, what is that? Let's see, I can pull it up. Dhuma. Bhagavad Gita 338. Dhumena vritir vanir yato dharsho malena cha yatol bhalena vrito garbas tata tenedam avritam. So avrito, avritam, there's a couple times that word is there. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, and the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. And so the acharyas have explained in this verse that this can refer to 3 grades of life. And you have plant life. In plant life, it's compared to the embryo covered by the womb. It means it's a very thick covering where you can't even you have any idea of the actual entity underneath. You have like these sci-fi movies when the lady gives birth to an alien, like she had was it Draupadi? She had children with aliens. So sometimes you have a sci-fi movie. You don't know what's in the womb. And as a mirror is covered by dust. So mirror covered by dust, you can have some idea of the form, but it's very unclear. You can see maybe the silhouette. So the idea of the mirror covered by dust is animal life. There's a little bit more clarity in the consciousness, but not nearly enough. Now, as fire is covered by smoke, you can see the form of fire, isn't it? You can see fire even if there's smoke. there is some covering, but you can still take advantage of fire. You still get heat and you still get luminosity, even if smoke is present. That's compared to human life. So these are different kinds of coverings. And this is here in the Bhagavad Gita, these are different coverings of desire. And isn't it? Our desire is where our illusions kind of rooted in. So let's go back to the verse. So when we're covered by illusion, we're bound to make all kinds of mistakes. And if we take shelter of our dur mantri vihi, we take shelter of our bad ministers, then we basically set ourselves up to make those mistakes. Like, for example, when Srila Prabhupada was here, imagine Srila Prabhupada is on the planet and you are a leader in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And you are not just a leader, you are a governing body leader. It would be always good to make big decisions by consulting Srila Prabhupada. So one time the devotees decided, without Srila Prabhupada's blessing, without consulting him, they made a decision, we'll solve all the problems by centralizing ISKCON. We'll centralize the finances, we'll centralize the leadership and the management and everything. That will make everything run smoothly. And so they had a nice meeting, they voted on it, they said, yes, this is what we're going to do. And then Srila Prabhupada found out. And what did he do? He disbanded the GBC. He wrote all the temple presidents say, don't listen to these guys for now. And he said, you guys should learn how to speak on important things. Like, why don't you wash your hands after you eat? I see this. You're a brahmanas and you don't even wash your hands after you eat. Or he says, and what about the programs in the temple? I say, well, some temples, the Mangal Artik's not always happening. So these items we have in Bhagavad Gita, so many different items that are to create some clarity of mind. Socham, cleanliness. Tapam, this austerity. We have probably give me some items from the Bhagavad Gita. There's items of knowledge, processes of knowledge. I think that's chapter 13. I'll ask the great Ananda Bihari.
No answer.
All right, let's see.
Ask Krishna Daya.
Krishna Daya, yes, please help. Let's look up. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence. Yeah, there's the list. Shanti, Arjavam. Simplicity, approaching Socham, Stairam, steadfastness, self-control. Self-control of the senses, Vairagam. So this is just one list, but there are many such lists in the Bhagavad Gita. And so Prabhupada was saying, well, you're missing some of the important things. You're talking about centralizing and changing the whole leadership structure of ISKCON, but you're not even learning to, you forgot to wash your hands. Like, oh, it looks like I see a little bit of rice on my hands, but kind of looks clean. Just go like that, and what to speak of even before eating, not washing hands. So these things, socham, it helps to create some clarity. Socham. I'm going back to the verse. Sorry for jumping around. Kangsa 43. So yeah, bad association of our, there's that verse in, 1 second, someone is knocking. Ramananda wants to give class. Welcome, Ramananda. What are you doing? Okay. All right. They want to play with the tablets. It's essential that they get in this room so they can grab the tablet. Say hi, Devaki. All right. Now let's see if my brain still works. Let's see. Someone help me right before the door knocked. What happened?
You're talking about some verse.
Something about bad association.
Some verse also.
Yes. You have the it's Rishabh Dev. The verse about Rishabh Dev. It's just the question was brought up by Parikshit Maharaj. Why didn't he? And he was an exalted being. Why didn't he do his mystical powers? Why didn't he take good advantage of all these cool mystical powers? Who would like to be able to fly? Come on, raise your hand. Come on, tell me. Be honest. Who would like to be able to walk through walls? Look, if you want to know what's on someone's mind, all these cool, walk on water. Imagine you can go over the Hudson River. If you live in New Jersey, you can get here real quick. And so I said, why didn't he take advantage of all these things? And it's now these are powers that one takes shelter of the control of the mind, and also not control of the mind, but they are in connection to the mind. And so the answer was given that having caught, like if a hunter catches his prey, like say a hunter catches birds with a net, he doesn't, once he captures them, he doesn't just let them, open the net and let them free. He keeps hold of them. And so similarly, once someone has captured the mind, should one just then let the mind roam free? The mind is like a steering wheel. Is a steering wheel your friend, Aaron? What do you say? So it's your friend. Just let it go and do whatever it wants. No. It's your friend when it's under your control. And if you let it go, it's no longer your friend. It's your enemy. Just going to go all over the place. And so he gave the example that the mind is like an unfaithful woman. He says an unfaithful woman might have, he said, a prostitute, say some, I don't know if it's like a in a sense of like a hired prostitute, but say somebody who's just sleeping around a lot. If you're dating somebody that has, 5 other boyfriends, then one of those boyfriends might come and. So if the mind is also, if we're taking shelter of the mind, and the mind is also taking shelter of envy, lust, greed, pride, illusion, then one of those things might come and kill the yogi, kill his spiritual progress. Therefore, instead of taking shelter of the mind and just following what the impulses of the mind, he gets the mind under his control instead of just letting the mind do its own thing. And so that was the example. So we got to take good instructions. So good instructions come when we have very clear mind. Then we have sastra, we have the sadhus, and then even if we're studying nicely, then we can also reflect, and we get good instructions even from within our heart. Some voice saying, "Oh no, don't do that. That's a bad idea." You're like, "Oh, well, no, don't do that." So Lord in the heart can also be there. When we become attuned to hearing that instruction within the heart. So I'll stop here and see if there are any comments, questions, or reflections.
Hare Krishna, Nityananda, Chandra Prabhu. I actually had a question from what you were sharing before, and I put it in the chat.
Okay.
that I understood when you were talking about the 6 demons of the mind of lust, anger, greed, and envy. However, I was not sure what you meant by illusion and madness, and I was wondering if you could speak to that further, please.
Yes. So illusion is this avritam, this not seeing things clearly. Like Kamsa, he's thinking, oh, you know what would be really good if I do? If I kill some priest, that would really like set my life on the right direction. That'll really pave the path of good fortune my way. So that's avritam. It's this illusion where we don't see things clearly. And madness is just, as we say, the derangement of the mind, where our mind becomes doesn't work properly at all, and so it just becomes dysfunctional. Let's see if I can. I wanted to find that that the commentary about this 6 Garbha Suras. Any other questions or reflections? What will you, Aaron Rudiger? What will you take home this morning for your day? Anything to take with you?
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Oh, yes.
Wonderful class, and what really comes across as you being such a good devotee and being fully confident and satisfied in devotional service. We find, what does it say? Satang prasangan mamavir. The discourses given by the sat, by the pure devotee, are very pleasing to the ear and satisfying to the heart. So thank you very much for speaking so nicely, presenting Krishna consciousness. But I do have a question.
Oh, yes.
We heard that they've been talking all week about Kamsa's atrocities and how as soon as a devotee manifests, Krishna is working like this also. He's provoking the demons to come and attack so that he can kill them. But it seems like, all right, like, well, Jesus said, if you follow me, you will be persecuted, right? As soon as the devotees manifest the light of wisdom, truth, and demons come and they persecute it. So we saw that Prabhupada spoke, and there was gigantic publicity and criticism of the movement, and it was brainwashing and was cult, and and so well, we don't we do want to keep a low profile in one sense. But is it possible that a devotee will keep such a low profile that we don't have any persecution at all, but then we've actually lost our revolutionary spirit? I'm wondering if we have to be very, as far as I can understand, I don't see a lot of intense adversity to our preaching style now, which is fine with me. But also I'm a little bit concerned that we might soften it up. If there's no reaction, if there's no persecution, if there's no bad publicity for the Hare Krishna movement, if there's no demon saying stop them, nobody's disturbed by it, is it possible that we might have been for a little bit dialed it back a little bit too far?
I love the question. So a little story. I was heading to the Bhakti Center. I caught, and then the heart is already smiling.
I know. And then Chandra.
I was heading to the Bhakti Center, and I get off at Atlantic Avenue, and sometimes I go to Google Maps, and it gives me like 4 trains to catch. To get, it says catch the R to J Metro check, and then it gives me like a whole bunch of different trains. And so I see this guy, and he has the same glasses and Nanda Bihar. He kind of looks like an Nanda Bihar. And I was like, and then he's looking at me very intently. And I was wearing a dhoti and kurta. This was, what was this? This was for some festival. It was one of the recent festivals. So he was looking at me very intently. And then I think this was Friday. This is a Friday, or maybe not. It's not Rath Yatra, but it's, I think, Friday, right before Rath Yatra. And then he looks at me intently, and then he walks past, and then it's like I walk, and then he starts following me.
Oh.
And then he comes up to me and says, "How do you deal with sin?" I was like, okay, I know what's going on here. I know what this dude's doing. I say, we're not concerned about sin. That's all that a person is concerned about sin is only thinking about themselves. We're concerned about love of God. And so he followed me, and then I got to my train, and he got on the train with me. He was talking to me, and it started off kind of high energy, like he was really talking at me, and then it kind of calmed down. And then I got off that train. He got off that train. Then and in the conversation, I was hoping that I could, that not using this phrase, preaching to the faithless, but that the service of the devotee is to make there's the three that we will encounter. There's the four. Is Krishna. We worship Krishna. We serve those who are already in our practice. Those who are antagonistic or may not take up our practice, we give them some distance. And those who may have some opportunity to grow due to our preaching, we try to impart knowledge.
Innocent.
So I was trying to, because he was spending so much time with somebody who was obviously like, a priest or something, dressed as some kind of priest or something. And he was really enlivened about saving my soul. He followed me all the way to the Bhakti Center.
Wow.
And he followed me all the way, it was 3 trains he followed me. And then I was there at 10 o'clock, and then I found out at 3:30, my wife outside waiting. He's still outside. So she went and brought the kids to the playground right on the corner there on First Avenue. And he went to the playground, and he started screaming at the children.
Oh.
And he was really enlivened with this idea that if people hate it, I must be doing something right. If people are angry and they hate what I'm doing, I must be preaching the name of, I must be acting in the service of God. I do agree that there's definitely, it has to be some tension there. There's some, as an example, how many people are lined up in front of Bhakti Center and how many are lined up in front of the bar? There's definitely, it's not that we're so acceptable that people are running in. That people know, okay, these people, there's vegetarianism. I could see that. Oh, I go to the class, I hear sometimes they're talking about no intoxication, things like that. So there's definitely tension there, but to be enlivened by the fact that people are hating us might not be the best motivation, because that the idea is, for example, I don't speak Chinese, and if I'm speaking to somebody, I want to make sure that what I'm saying is digested by the other person. So our job is to make sure. It's like the Mona Lisa. Everybody might have seen the Mona Lisa. Someone threw something at the painting, but the Mona Lisa, it is a very famous painting, and to respect the painting, we don't change what's in the painting, but we may change how we frame it. We may change we might put it in a museum. We might put it in a way that people can actually appreciate it. Not that the painting has changed, but how we present the painting in the way that people can actually appreciate it.
To Adipusha Prabhu's question about persecution, I think 5 or maybe 7 years ago in Russia, they were trying to ban the whole movement on the basis of some shlokas taken out of context from the Bhagavad Gita. They failed miserably, but there was an attempt by the church, backed by the church. And then in Bangladesh, I think they burned down the temple and some devotees got killed or trapped inside or something like that. And in this country, I was thinking that the demon, the opposition is manifesting, is playing out differently. Like Ganesham Prabhu was given class the other day, and he said that Kali, the personality of this age, could not confront Maharaj Parikshit directly, but he snuck in. He entered the heart of this Brahmana boy because he saw some weakness in the heart, some impurity, and he entered, he snuck in, and God, Maharaj Parikshit cursed to die. So maybe in our society, this opposition is playing out differently. Maybe it's just trying to make us feel that everything is all right, there's no opposition, you're okay. And then it makes us spiritually weak. We put our guards down, and then next thing you know, we're in trouble. And then Bhima Prabhu is saying something interesting in the chat. You know, I don't want to get controversial or political, but that's also there. There is some opposition. There is some agenda going on.
Subtle.
Yeah. So there is plenty of work for Adipusha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Plenty of inspiration.
We were in a taxi cab, and there was a Russian taxi cab driver. This was probably 20 years ago. And he said, you know, in our country, they put a soldier at the door to the church, and they won't let any young people in. The old parishioners, they let them continue to go and worship, but they don't want it to expand at all. So there's a strong persecution against preaching and expanding God consciousness. But he said, but here, there's no external opposition to religion, but the smorgasbord of the varieties of sense gratification that water people down from their desire to have the truth and distract us. It's like letting the air out of the tires. It's indirect, but it's there. There is opposition, like you said, but it comes in a different way. And we have to be very determined. And it's a great challenge for the devotees to speak to people who are antagonistic. We were talking to somebody the other day, and it seemed just like the question. I mean, you're a book distributor, so you know what it's like. Sometimes you say, devotional service, this is a book about Krishna, and you know what happens when some people are polarized and, you know, antagonistic. So this guy was asking all these questions, just very similar to the story you were telling. And I was praying to Krishna, what do I say? And I said to him, well, let me ask you a question. You can ask this of yourself. Do you want somebody worthy of your complete? You want somebody in your life worthy of your complete trust and obedience. And if that's what you want, God will send that to you, you know? So you have to ask them, let them ask themselves a question. And if they don't want that, there's no hope.
No hope. Thank you, Nityananda Chandra Prabhu, and everyone. Krishnadaya Das, Rameshwar Naik, Bhakta Will, Andrea, Yogeshwari, Suzanne, the Temple Room, Champaka, Lata, Preeti Chaturvedi, Amish, Anand Singh, Kartik the Scientist, Benicia, AJ, Bhima Prabhu scared us this morning a little bit. Shook us up, yeah. Jason Prabhu, Maharani Didi, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Love you all. Haribol. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.